Everybody knows that twill, denim, and felt are really good materials to make patches. But what happens when you don't have those materials on hand? Well, I'm going to show you. Today, I went around the office and I grabbed all these different types of materials, and we're going to be making patches. Patches out of all of this. Stay tuned. What is a patch? A patch is a piece of cloth or other material used to mend or strengthen another material. The patch dates back to the 5th and 3rd century BC, and they started by the Chinese. It was then passed on to India, the Mediterranean, and then to South America. So I'm sure back in the day, they didn't have all those fancy materials like twill and denim, but they made use of what they had, and that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to be recreating these two patches right here. One of them is a stitch full patch, which means that it's full of stitches, and the other one is just the outline, and I'm using the background material as my applique. So this is a felt patch, and that's going to be the background of my patch. So I'm going to go around, grab all the different types of material that I can, and the ones that I have to make full of thread, I will, and the ones that I can use as applique, I will. So we're going to be recreating these. Let's get started. I found this material lying around. It's Miss Janet's. Don't tell her. But this patch is going to be the applique patch. So I'm going to use this as the background of the patch instead of having it do all the thread fill. So I think this is going to make a nice little patch. Let's go make it. For this patch, I'll be using one layer of the 2.5 cutaway stabilizer. Cutaway stabilizer is permanent. Once it's in the fabric, it's not going away. So we're going to just hoop that with the 5x5 mighty hoop. Now you could make multiples, but right now we're just going to be making one at a time. So I'm going to just let this, put it here. I'm going to float this right on top of the fabric, let it do the tack down. I'm going to take it out applique style and then just run the patch. At the end, we'll just cut it away from the backing and we'll have our patch. All right, here we go. The image. Remember, I put the applique image on here. And I'm just going to float this right on top of it. And then we're going to cut it out later. So we're going to make sure that it's on automatic manual because I don't want it to keep going. I want it to stop right after this. So let's go. We're right in the middle. We did our trace already. And let's lock it in place and start. Okay, that's been tacked down. Let's go cut it. Using these small scissors, I'm going to just cut around as close as I can to the stitches. And typically, curved scissors would be best to get this done, but I want to try to be as careful as I can. I don't want to cut into the backing. It's very thin. So I'm cutting as close as I can. Remember, this is the placement stitch. You're supposed to put this down on the tack down stitch, but instead, my border stitch is going to cover this. So I should be okay in covering this. So I'm just showing you guys that you don't really need too much specialty equipment to do this. I'm just using some small straight scissors very carefully, cutting as close as I can. You can hear it in my voice that I'm concentrating. It's like when Tiger Woods is about to hit that hole in one. Ladies and gentlemen, the court. There we go. Almost done. So you don't want to move it from the hoop. You want to try to keep it as still as possible. Almost done here. Okay. All right, let's go put that on the machine. Since my tack down stitch was already done, I don't need to do it again. So now it's just a matter of hitting start. Actually, I'm going to select color. I'm going to remove it from automatic manual mode and put it to regular mode. And now it's just going to run the design all by itself. So here we go. That's it. All right, let's clean this up. We're going to take it out of the hoop. Our first pack is done. Check that out. Really nice. So we're going to take our scissors and we're going to clean everything up. Now, if you don't have it already, soldering iron is really, really good. Because you'll see this, the cutaway stabilizer is a synthetic material. So it actually melts away when you use the soldering iron, and it makes the edge nice and clean. So if you don't cut it really close, you want to make sure that you don't cut the stitches. So this way, you see, we're going to make it look really nice. So this is just using a regular 2.5 stabilizer and some material that I found. And I think the patch came out really nice. As a matter of fact, I think I could, no, see, it's not tearing away very easily because it is cutaway. So it is going to make a nice foundation for the patch, believe it or not. And to this, you can put your adhesive backing to it, or you can either sew it onto a patch. And if your scissors are really sharp, look, I'm just dragging it along and it's cutting it. Okay. So for these edges that are sticking out, you can take your hot knife or your soldering iron and look, it'll melt it away. Can you see, is this thing getting hot? Oh, hold on. If you're too scared to get too close to the edges, that's fine. Me too. So now that this is getting up to temperature, let's see. Let's watch it melt this stuff away. There it goes. See that? It's going to clean up the edge real nice. So you want to cut as close as you can, but you don't have to be perfect because this will help you make it look really good. And that's it. Let me just make sure to go all the way around. Okay. That's that. Let me turn this off. Make sure I put it on this so it doesn't burn my mat. But there it is. One patch complete. Now you just put your adhesive backing and we're ready to go. Let's go to the next one. The next item we're going to use is this canvas bag. You can see it's kind of, we used it. We already did some prints to it. We're not going to use it. So this is recycling. So we can use this material to put the patch. And I can even do the patch right on top of this. Now, because I'm going to do it applique style, or am I? I'm not sure. You know what? Let's just do the full patch right on this canvas and just cut it out. So we're going to do it all thread because I don't want the background to be beige. I'd rather it be white. So let's do that. All right, guys, here's the canvas bag. We've got our mighty hoop right here. And I don't think, am I going to use stabilizer? I'm not sure. You know what? Let me go get a piece of stabilizer. I will use a little piece. Nice. This is cutaway. See, it doesn't cut. And then we'll just do it right on here. This little bag, we're not using it. It's always nice to repurpose stuff, you know? So we're just going to make it right there. Make sure that the stabilizer is nice and flat. And I get this handle out of the way. And I'm going to do the full patch on here. So here we go. Nice. Let's get this nice and tight. Okay, just put it on the machine. We do need to change the design. So let's go to our panel. We're going to unlock it, select the design, go to my folder, and it's this one. That's the full design and select. So we've got all the colors already picked out. It's already centered. Trace, make sure you trace, guys. You don't want to break your reciprocator. And that's going to be right in the middle. Perfect. All right, here we go. Patch number 2 on the way. All right, that's number 2. All right, let's cut it out. And these mighty hoops are real good. Okay, so we have our hoop. Now let's cut this out. So we're going to try to cut it as close as we can to the edge without nicking the threads. If you ever nick the threads, there is a product called Thread Lock that you can use. It's almost like a super glue, or you could just use a dab of super glue to keep everything from unraveling on you. That's just one way of doing it. So this is one technique. I am going to try to use the hot iron to see if I can get it to burn the edges a little bit, but that's about as close as I'm going to get. I'm afraid that if I get any closer, I'll cut the patch. But I know that sometimes it doesn't look the best, but that's okay. We could have done this applique style, but I just wanted to show you guys how it would be with full thread. So if you have the canvas X as a base material, it's very sturdy, very strong. And so here we go. Almost there. Okay, so there's my patch. It's very, very, very strong. You can feel the difference. Move on to patch number 3. So the next one, we're going to be using this right here. This is one of the plastic bags that we use to cover the machine. So I cut out a piece. I'll be folding it into 3 pieces. I'm going to fold it over itself, stick it in the mighty hoop, and we're going to use this as our backing. And we're also going to see if we can punch the patch out of it. So just like you would use your Badge Master film, I'm going to try to make the patch on this. Now, because this is plastic, I am going to make the patch out of thread, the whole thing, not just the applique style. Maybe I do one of each to see how it turns out. But anyway, let's get to it. Hey guys, just a public service announcement. If you haven't already got your ticket for Deco Summit, make sure you get it now. Deco Summit is on September 10th through the 12th. It's a big conference that we have here at Ricoma. You can use the code CARL20 to get 20% off the already reduced price. The prices will go up in the next couple of weeks, so make sure you get them now. But this would be a great place for you to go get hands-on experience and even practice these patches that we're going to be making right now. So all this is part of the hands-on experience. Make sure you get there. It's a great networking opportunity. Back to the episode. All right, patch number 3. And we are going to use the full thread patch on this one. All right, that's that one. All right, let's take a look. Patch number 3. This is just with the regular plastic. It looks like it did okay. There was a little gap here where it kind of missed it. We could go over that, or we could just increase the push-pull compensation and it would actually work. Now to take this off, it's just a matter of popping it out. And there we go. And there's really not much cleaning up to do, really, except for right here. You notice there's these little holes in the embroidery. But I think if we were to adjust the push-pull compensation, that I would say that this is a successful patch. Like, it's very, very sturdy. I'm pulling on it. Looks good. All right, next one. All right, guys, we're almost near the end. This time is Janet has brought this old sofa cover. This was a piece of leather that somebody it was a couch that they were throwing out. It's in great condition. So she was able to rescue this leather, and we're going to take a little piece of it and make a patch out of it. Let's get started. All right, here's the leather. And I'm going to be using 2 layers of the 2.5. I don't know why I'm using 2, but I just thought it would, because the leather's kind of heavy. And we're going to do this one the applique style. So I'll run it first with the tack down, cut around it, and then get it done. So let's go put it in the machine. Let's cut this out. go. All right, that's all done. All right, let's clean this one up. This is the last one. We did this on leather. We've got the raw leather edges right here on the side. You put it in fire with the machine. You absolutely need to turn off the prayer. Look at that. That looks nice. Before I go any further, make sure you like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know when we're coming out with the next great content. Now, this episode was just to show you that you can make patches out of almost anything. There are certain materials that are better suited for patches than others. However, with the right digitizing and a right combination of things, you can make them really well. So here, this was the first one that we made. This was our applique patch. So this was the applique patch on just regular backing. And you can see it is kind of thin. It's kind of flimsy, but with some adhesive, it'll work well. And we were able to just use the hot iron or the soldering iron to clean everything in the back. Then we have our canvas patch. The canvas patch, you might need to clean it up just a little bit more, but otherwise it's a very sturdy patch, very well made, and not a problem at all. You can either leave the background alone and do it like the applique style so that you don't change the color of the background. But in this case, I just wanted to use it as a material, and it worked out really, really nice. The next one that I made was just using a regular bag that we use to cover the machines. The only problem with the plastic is that right here, you can see that there's a little bit of separation. So I could easily fix that with some digitizing just by changing the pull compensation and making it a little bit wider. And that would have been it. So this, I call it a success. Even though there's that little piece right there, you can still stick this on, sew it on, and it'll work just fine. And finally, we made one using leather. So this is just a leather patch. It looks really nice, really cool. You can stick this on. This is the background right here. Remember that the backing, this is cutaway backing, so it's very strong, very durable. I'm sure you have some old shirts that have embroidery that have the backing still on. So a cutaway backing kind of washes off, whereas, tearaway backing kind of washes off, whereas cutaway, it's in there, man. It's like ragu. It's in there. It's not going anywhere. And then just as a bonus, I made these patches. This is just using cutaway stabilizer. So the background color is the cutaway stabilizer. And this one is a full thread patch on backing. So without using any type of material, you can always just make the patch right on backing because the back is all thread. So this is almost like a freestanding lace, if you will, but the backing is what's kind of holding it all together. So this, you put your adhesive on there, you would clean up the edges with your odd iron, and you've got it all right there. That's all you have to do. So make sure, if you like this video, make sure you leave any comments you have below. And I'm going to link the video that I did before this where I show you how to make patches on the Badge Master film. And I'm going to leave it in the card above and in the description below. All right, guys, we'll see you guys on the next video. Keep making those patches.